So a couple of nights ago, I had an enrollment call with a potential student, now student, in my ESA coaching program. So he's living in the US and his English is actually pretty good. He can speak with minimal grammatical mistakes, he can talk about himself with no problem, but he's still not very happy about it. He's not very happy about it because his biggest problem is that whenever he speaks English in an unfamiliar environment or with people that he doesn't feel too comfortable with, or whenever he feels like he's being judged, he doesn't feel fluent anymore. He starts to stutter on his words. He just doesn't know what to say at all. So if you've ever felt like this before, comment down below to share your experiences. Before we move back to this video, I just want to remind you that if you are someone who urgently need to use English in your day-to-day, whether it's for work purposes or because you are living abroad, make sure to check out my coaching program, English Sprint Academy. This is especially good for you if you have been stuck in your current level for the longest time, and despite whatever effort you put in, you just can't seem to improve. And this is where I will personally guide you to get out of that plateau and then thrive in your life with English. So back to this video. So what he's experiencing right now is what I call conditional fluency. Conditional fluency is when your ability to speak smoothly is affected by external factors. So when you feel like you're in control and you feel confident, your fluency just comes out quite well, quite naturally. But at times where you feel like the social dynamics isn't there, or when you feel like there's a lot of expectations, or you feel self-doubt, that's when your fluency drops. So this is where a lot of learners get stuck because they feel confused where they stand in their level. Like, I can speak English, but I don't feel fluent in certain situations, and they don't know where to go from here. So if you find yourself in this stage, you need to know that the biggest thing that you need to overcome this is not so much about learning more skills or learning more words or more grammar. The biggest problem right now is your own mind. Think about it. You already have the what. You already know the words. You already know how to speak with some people that you feel comfortable with. Your skill is there. You have the what. So at this stage, it's not so much about learning more English, but it's more about how to better use the English knowledge, the English skills that you already have, regardless of the situation. And this comes down to shifting your mindset, emotional management, and real-world application, or in other words, practice. So fluency isn't just about what you know in your head, the words that you know, the skills that you have, but it's all about bringing out the skills that you have in situations when you most need it. So I know this feeling very well because I experience it myself. So I'm fluent in Bahasa Indonesia and in English, but I would say I am conditionally fluent in Dutch, French, and Spanish. So let's say if I were to suddenly meet a Spanish person and a Spanish speaking person, and they ask me to speak Spanish without me preparing, without me feeling ready to speak Spanish, I would stutter. I would not know where to start, and then suddenly I just can't speak Spanish at all anymore. But this is not true, because whenever I'm by myself and when I'm with certain people that I feel comfortable with, and when I feel comfortable, when I feel at ease, my Spanish comes out naturally, and I could actually maintain a pretty long conversation with a native speaker. So my fluency in these languages depend on the people that I'm with, or the mood that I am in, or my comfort level, and whether or not I have primed myself to that language before I start speaking it, or whether or not I have prepared myself before I start speaking. So for instance, if I know that, let's say tomorrow I'm meeting a group of Dutch people and I know I'm gonna be speaking Dutch a lot, I've already mentally prepared for like a whole day, so it comes out a lot easier. But if I'm in a setting where I don't expect to speak Dutch, it's going to be a little bit harder for me to bring out the Dutch that I already know. So my brain hesitates, I start second guessing myself, and this really affects my ability to be able to smoothly speak in Dutch, even though I know that I can. So to put it simply, your thoughts about yourself, the story, the narrative that you have about yourself really have a bigger impact on whether or not you can speak fluently in this language. If you keep saying, I'm not fluent, I don't think I can do this, I'm nervous, you're not going to be able to, because at this point, it's your own mind that gets in the way of your ability to speak. Now let's get to the hot stuff. How do we solve this problem? So if we find ourselves in situations where we are uncomfortable, or maybe we feel judged by the people, how do we manage ourselves, our emotion, and our own mind in a way that will not sabotage our fluency? So the first thing that we can do is to change our internal story. At the moment of speaking, you need to manage your internal story about yourself. So you can say, instead of saying, I'm not fluent, you can say, I'm still learning. Or, I'm still training myself to be fluent in every situation. So you can manage your internal story at the moment of speaking. So instead of thinking to yourself as, oh, I am not fluent, think of yourself, oh, I am still training myself to be able to speak fluently in any situation. Because remember, fluency is not just about the knowledge that you have of the language. It's about your ability to hold on to it and to bring it out in situations where you need it most, regardless of where you are or who you're speaking with, or what, regardless of how nervous you feel in the situation. Okay, so let's say right now you're in this situation, you feel nervous, and you're changing your internal story, you're lifting your mood a little bit. What to do next? Next step is to breathe. At this moment, you're feeling super nervous, your nerves are through the roof, and this is going to hinder your ability to bring out that, the words that your confidence. Breathing is the easiest, the simplest, and the fastest way you can calm yourself down. Because when your heart beats faster and your muscle is like tensing up, your mind suddenly goes blank, and this is a totally normal thing to happen. And we manage it through breathing. So at this point, you can practice the box breathing method, where you can inhale, take a deep breath for 4 seconds, inhale, and then hold it for another 4 seconds, and then you exhale it for 4 seconds, and then you hold it for 4 seconds. So this is a very well-known way to calm yourself down in times of anxiety or nervousness. This is not only good for you to speak a language, but even if, let's say, you feel nervous about speaking in public or going on a job interview, this box breathing technique is a secret tool that you can start applying right now to calm yourself down. Try it. Inhale 4 seconds, hold 4 seconds, exhale 4 seconds, and then hold it again. And then after you breathe, take some time to remind yourself of the new story, the new narrative that you just created. And I'm referring to point 1. So the story that you tell yourself that we worked on point 1, it may feel fake, it may feel new, because this is something that you're not really used to thinking about. You're always so used to thinking about yourself in a way that's detrimental to you, kind of thinking, oh, I'm not fluent, I suck, people are gonna judge me. Getting this new story is going to take a little time to sink in. It's gonna take some time for you to really truly believe it. But the more you tell yourself the story, eventually you're going to start believing it, and you're going to start acting that way. And also, another way to remind yourself is to look for evidence that this new story is true. Instead of thinking of yourself, I am not fluent, think about the times where you actually were fluent, where you actually were able to have an English conversation with no error, and very smoothly, very naturally. Always think about that. If you're having difficulties believing the story, maybe your brain needs proof, needs evidence that to back up this new story that you just created, that you are fluent, that you are a great speaker. So start collecting proof or collecting evidence that you actually can do this. And the last thing that we're going to do is to lower the stakes. A huge reason a lot of people freeze up or blank out is because they put way too much pressure on themselves. I need to be perfect. I need to not make any mistakes. But the reality is that most conversations are not high stakes. People don't think about your grammar. People don't spend time analyzing why you're speaking so badly and all that. Sure, some people do, but these people don't matter. So how do we lower the stake? First, give yourself permission to not be perfect, to make mistakes. Look, native speakers, they make mistakes all the time. They don't always speak in a way that is grammatically correct, but it doesn't always prevent them from speaking out loud. So instead of thinking to yourself, I need to be perfect, tell yourself, I don't have to speak perfectly, I just need to communicate. I just need to be understood, and I just need to understand them. And then we want to reframe our conversations as practice. Instead of thinking to yourself, I need to prove that my English is good, you can tell yourself, oh, this is just another opportunity for me to start practicing. So instead of dreading every conversation, you can say, oh yes, I have another chance to practice. So this shifts your focus from performance to practice, to learning, and this lowers the stakes. Because when you believe that this is a performance, there's a lot of pressure. And pressure at this point is not really good. And then you can also try to use humor or honesty, so you can just kind of like ease up the tension by saying, oh, I'm a little bit nervous, my English is not my first language, so okay, but I'll try my best. You know, stuff like that. So most of the time people will appreciate you and respect you for even trying. So another way to lower the stake is, instead of focusing too much about how you speak, about your skills, about yourself, try to focus on the other person. Try to be more curious, ask questions, and focus on the conversations that you have. You know, so this helps take the focus off of yourself and make the conversation flow smoother and more naturally. So at this point, the goal is not to eliminate nervousness completely, but it's about managing it better so it doesn't control you. So this is the end of the video. If you need to take anything from this video, please remember that fluency is not just about knowing English. It's about being able to use it in any situation, regardless of where you are, who you're speaking to. And the key to breaking free from conditional fluency is to first rewire your internal story, manage your emotions, and being able to lower the stakes. So next time that you feel a lot of hesitation or nervousness creeping in, remember to first breathe, change your internal story, change the story that you tell about yourself, and remind yourself that fluency is already in you. It's just about bringing it out. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you next time in another video. Until then, take care, good luck, and bye-bye.